Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Bright Side.
The Bright Side.
The Bright Side. Your host, Grateful Howie Crar of How We Doing It, and Dr. J.C. Dornick, a.k.a. The Dragon, coming to you today from definitely different places where there's probably about 80 degrees separating us. And today's conversation will be interesting because last week we did our first Clubhouse. We had a nice turnout, and I thought it was awesome having people that watch this then get up on the stage and take it deeper. And it's really amazing to me how just when you think we reached the pinnacle of social media, or that we have all the apps that you could ever have, that Clubhouse comes on the scene and is making such a big splash. And I know, JC, you've been spending some time with your business and creating some content on Clubhouse. And I know tomorrow, I can't wait.
Yeah.
You have like industry titans on to talk about, what we do. And I'm really looking forward to that. You've assembled some of the masters of the firm.
And Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, that was a great book. Always remembered that book, right?
And by the way, Howie, just as a heads up, for anybody listening right now, we are actually, just because we're just playing around with this, tomorrow's room is going to be big. There's going to be a lot of people there. But just for fun, I've already opened up, because it's just a live interactive platform. If anybody wants to listen from the app called Clubhouse, it's open right now. But what we're going to do is at 5:30, when this is over, we're going to actually be in there and interact and have our little after party with anybody that's in there. So
great.
A lot of fun.
Forward to that. So, this topic of social media is something that you and I talk about all the time. And it's really, you can make a compelling argument for both sides, how, maybe it's not that great, and other sides, how great it is. And I know that you've done a lot of diving and digging into it since we said that was a subject that we were going to talk about, to really help you appreciate and get from it the bright side, so that it's not looked at in a negative way. How's your week, JC? How are things?
Well, I mean, everything, when you live on the bright side, it's always fantastic. You just reminded me, I had a professor when I went to chiropractic school, and this is pretty cool. I had a professor that always, whenever you said to him, you go, "Hey, professor, how you doing?" He would always answer the same thing. He would say, "Near perfect and closing the gap." And he had a deal where he wanted to hold himself to that. And what he said is, if you ever ask me that question and I don't answer like that, I'll give you $1. So we would always hit him. And he just was rock solid. So he actually put himself to task to say that. But yeah, everything's wonderful. We had an opportunity once again to have to select the bright side. And I say have to because there's no choice. As you know, we've been waiting since, we were supposed to have our daughter here from South Africa a week after coronavirus, and this and this and this and the coronavirus and all that stuff. And then finally the skies opened up, and then boom, there's a new strand in South Africa and the skies closed up. So it's like over and over and over again. I was just in her room the other day. I'm making her room beautiful and putting her bed together and stuff, but we don't have our daughter. So, everybody's as I say on social media, the prayer warriors always come out. Misery loves company. So as soon as everybody found out that Chicken and Dragon might be misery bound, they just come flying and say, "We're so sorry, we're so sorry, we're so sorry." So here's my opportunity. What's up, everybody that's popping in? Here's our opportunity to select the bright side. And, there's always a bright side. There's always a bright side. I want to share, before we get into this topic, Howie, I just want to share with you this awesome. I actually, this is a Dragon original. This quote, and I just want you to absorb it and tell me what it says to you. So I wrote this morning and I put it on my social media. But it says, try replacing blame and punishment with compassion and understanding. Think about that for a second. I was reading about this morning. You know, if you think about blame and punishment, those are critical things that we place on others, right? And I just love that idea of, rather than blaming and punishing others, or just putting the locus of control on others, right? Take it back and take responsibility for yourself and just have compassion and understanding. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful set of tools to practice right now, especially right now, is let people off the hook. Let people off the hook, for they know not what they do, typically. And the way you do that is through compassion. And I know you love that word.
We just said that before in a call that we were on. Always be compassionate, right?
That's right. Instead of always how we went from always be closing to always be compassionate. Love it.
Right? That was a big transformation for me.
Yeah.
I think what you say about that is letting people off the hook, and too many people.
Some woman in the comments just said that she loves me.
No, she said she loves me.
It says, are you JC?
It says HK. You need some glasses, bro. Mika, tell him, HK, I love you. But somebody just asked us, Melanie, we are using StreamYard.
And we have to give a shout out. Who told us about StreamYard? Give him credit.
Steve Noodleberg.
That's right, Steve Noodleberg.
And you know what he always says when a conversation starts? Tell me something good.
Yeah.
He always says that. Last week he had Jesse Itzler on.
I know, I saw him.
It was a great episode. And you know what really came?
You can interview Jesse Itzler on while he's on the toilet, and it'd be great.
No, but family came through in a big way. Jesse is all about time and the big ass calendar club and his 4 kids, and it just really. And Steve's working with 2 of his kids. It was really nice.
Yep.
So I think letting somebody off is important, because too many people hold grudges. Too many people just stand on ceremonies. I never understood that. Yeah. Like, if I called you and you don't call me back, I can't call you and then I'm going to be mad at you. If I want to talk to you, pick up the phone and call you. Maybe you got busy. Maybe you forgot. Who cares?
Hey, forgiveness, right? We'll have a whole episode on that one day. Forgive everybody, for they know not what they do. I come from this train of thought, and I have a lot of people come at the Dragon. When you play a big game, you get, a lot of people coming at you, and I just forgive everybody. I forgive my mommy, my daddy, my friends, everybody. I don't burn any bridges. Now, if somebody's giving me shit, it doesn't mean I have to hang out with them, but I forgive them, for they know not what they do. Because I believe everybody wants to see the bright side. I believe everybody wants to be healthier, happier, wealthier. That's the whole premise of this program, of getting people started. But I don't think anybody has bad intentions. As a matter of fact, anytime that I ever had bad intentions, it didn't have to do with the other person. It had to do with me. So I needed to forgive myself, So anyway, I want to get on this topic because I got some stuff that's just going to shock you and shock the listeners about social media. And before we jump into it, and I was talking to Howie about this, on the bright side, hence the name, we're never going to pick a side. We're never going to choose a side and say social media is good or bad. We're never going to say wearing masks is good or bad. We're never going to say the president is good or bad. On this show, we're just about becoming conscious and aware of things and remaining open. So I just want everybody to know, if you're big on social media, I use it a lot. I'm just going to open the door to some facts. I'm very into facts because what we want to talk about right now, we just want to evaluate how social media plays a role in potentially skewing a lot of things that we need to select and choose the bright side, because remember, the bright side is a perception. If something happens and I choose to see the bright side, that's a perception that I'm choosing to see, dear Mr. Fantasy, right? So if we look at habit building, first of all, Howie, you understand, because we coach this, and you've been coached on this as well. The whole premise, and Tamsin was here just before, right?
She was just here. She went out. She might be back before we're done.
If she gets back, you got to pull. You got to pull from her. Tell her to make sure she jumps into Clubhouse. I'm going to actually interview her on my podcast. So if you look at the idea of habit formation, and I'm just talking about habit formations, good or bad, if you do something for 30 days, it becomes habitual. If you do it for 90 days, it goes on autopilot, and that's what a habit is. It's something that you don't even know you're doing until you start.
Unconscious behavior.
Exactly. So think about that. If we know that we can practice something good or bad for 30 days to 90 days, and then it actually becomes who we are, it becomes part of our DNA and our lifestyle, well, then we have to really acknowledge some things that we do every day, right? We have to just awaken all of a sudden, and everybody knows this. Everybody knows, all the greats tell you, don't check your social media when you wake up first thing in the morning. Bad idea, right? Don't use your phone as your alarm clock. Don't. And then we say, yes. Oops, right? So I just want to bring that to the reality here, because I did a little bit of research, and I just want to pull some of this up. First of all, ironically, Howie, which country logs the most amount of hours per day on social media?
U.S.
Wrong. I knew you were going to say that. It's
right,
actually, ironically, it is the Philippines. And the reason why it is the Philippines is because they are all working for us doing social media stuff. Interesting, right? But here's the one that's going to, you're going to be in disbelief, but I checked this all over.
All right.
This is going to rock your world. How many times a day? Here it is. I'm going to read it exactly right. Like I read this in many articles. So people on average interact, meaning swipe, click, type, or tap their phone. This is just your phone. You know the number?
No, but I know it's over 2,000.
It's 2,617 times. Hold on a second, everybody. Think about this for a second. What that means is that thumb of yours, or that finger, is doing something 2,617 times. And also, that means that you're absorbing outside in information. Now, I didn't even tell you that is for the average user. If somebody is actually a heavy mobile user, which I believe I might fit into, it's actually 5,427. And as I say that, my thumb is aching like a Tom and Jerry cartoon. It's going boom, boom, boom. Okay, so I just want to bring that up because I think the average of how many hours a day, it comes to about, it says in the United States, people spend 2 hours and 3 minutes on social media each day. The primary focus of that is on their phone, their mobile phone, right? So, and I understand why. My whole business is on social media and it's on my phone, and that's what I love about our business, is no overhead. But what I want to bring to light right now is, what are you looking at? You know, are you the kind of person that looks at your social media feed, the wall? Because as soon as you look at the feed, right, which by the way is a highlight reel, it's all bullshit, right? I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of the pictures that Chicken and I put up, we tweak them a little bit, you know what I mean? So let's just be real. It's a highlight reel. You only see the good stuff. And then also you see the Debbie Downer stuff. Wah, wah. So if you're feeding yourself 2,617 clicks, if you're feeding yourself every day for 2 hours and 3 minutes a day of fantasy reel, you get into comparative reality. And if you're hearing about bad news, of course you're choosing sides that are non-bright side. Of course you're looking at the world the way you look at it. You're being programmed to do it. So my question is this: besides breathing and being alive, human beings, what are you doing for 2 hours and 3 minutes every single day of your life, weekends included, every single day? Because whatever you're doing for 2 hours and 17 minutes, you're going to become. Whatever you're reading, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're consuming every day. So the reason why I bring that up is if you don't have a 3rd-degree black belt in managing your response system to adversities and conflict and all that stuff, if you don't have the ability to look at social media and identify that it's a highlight reel and identify that you're looking at other people's opinions, which for the most part are none of your business if you're in the business of seeing the bright side, if you're unaware of that stuff, well, you might have a skewed perception. Am I right?
Wow, I see. You are passionate about those numbers.
Well, I'm passionate about it. You know why? Because I'm a dad. I'm a dad, and we got our little girl coming over, and she's smarter than me. She's 11 years old. She knows more about social media than us, right? And I got a 17-year-old going off to college, and I got a 15-year-old playing Fortnite and Call of Duty. And my kids, who I could care less about anybody else but my kids, they're the most important thing in the world. My kids are having their reality and their perception of the world skewed. So the time that I'm spending with my kids, I'm not saying social media bad. Social media is here to stay, and they need to know how to use it, and they need to know, but I just need them to start questioning and checking facts about what's real and what's not, because they're watching TV and they're watching social media, and why not? Eventually they're going to believe that that's their reality.
So you said something. Are you hearing the feedback?
I wish I did, because this is good. I'm not.
So them knowing how to use it, and I don't think that anybody's teaching. So last weekend, I had some friends in from the Washington, D.C. area, and I went down to South Beach to visit them. Not to make anybody feel bad. It was a beautiful beach day. And we're out at the beach, and he has a 15-year-old daughter who has a friend. And they sat there on their phones on the beach. And I said, as I always do when I see his daughter, what are the apps that you're involved with these days? And it was Snapchat and Instagram. Facebook is out. They didn't even know the name Clubhouse.
Everybody's going to know Clubhouse.
No, I know. And then when I told them about it, they said, yeah, we heard older people go on there. Right. So, but my point is that, my kids are 27, 25, and 23. So I'm on the other side of that. Now they see how ridiculous, and they were at the beginning of it. But these kids that are coming up, when I go to a restaurant and I see a family where the little kids have iPads and their parents' iPhones. There's no communication, no conversation. Maybe these kids are 3. That's where it starts, where how to use it. But if the parents would just rather have a quiet meal and not have to deal with the kids, right? Used to get coloring books or something, then that's what happens. And I do believe that with all of that time spent on it, that comparative reality is what hit me with your statistics. Because if you're 2 hours and change a day, that's 60 hours a month. That's 720 hours a year. Do you know how productive you can be with just getting part of that back? What you can do rather than scrolling and saying, they're better because I'm not equal because, and that, there are, again, it's here, it's useful, it's so amazing in so many ways, but it does skew people's perceptions and gives them these fantasies maybe, or conspiracies, or sidetrack them from the reality of where they are.
Yeah.
It's addictive. It's addictive.
Well, anything you do with repetition is addictive, you know. And you know, I'm going to try to say this the right way, but I'm a huge fan of who's a fellow chiropractor, but Joe Dispenza, who's a neuroscientist, quantum theorist, you know, just an amazing guy. And what he reminds us of is that these types of things, you know, this constant, consistent consumption of things, by the way, good or bad, what happens is that they create feelings, right? There's feelings associated with them, and those feelings turn into things he calls temperaments, right? And a temperament is like when you some people have tempers, right? Or some people are happy, who knows? But that it's being caused by the consumption. And then the next thing that happens is, if you do it long enough, and we are, those temperaments turn into moods. And once you have a mood, then that mood turns into a personality. And he always reminds us that our personality turns into our personal reality. So if you peel that onion back and back and back and back, the source of it is the consumption. Now, I'm going to tell you what the bright side of all this is. Okay? First of all, there's a lot of great stuff on social media. You know, and by the way, we're gonna open up for anybody that wants to join us live. We're going to open up our Clubhouse room. It's called the Bright Sides After Party Show. And you can follow me at Make Sense. You go to Clubhouse at Make Sense if you haven't already. Come join in, because we only got a couple minutes left of this. Howie, how do they find you on and follow you on Brightside? I mean, on Clubhouse?
My name, Howie Craw.
Easy. Oh, look at that. Find the dragon on Clubhouse. That makes sense. And then Howie's his name. Here's the bright side. Okay. Now, I'll give you an example. We're going to go spend time, 30 minutes in Clubhouse, and we're going to talk about this. That's productive. That's productive. It's going to be solution focused, not problem focused, productive. Now, I watch YouTube videos about personal growth, and I make distinctions, right? I listen to podcasts. When I'm on social media, I'm seeking things that empower me and move me forward. So social media is not all bad. But here's the bright side of it. If you're going to defend your position and say social media is good for you, that's fine. I would like to know more about that, right? Or you're going to join the discussion and say, you know, I can see how it could be a bad thing. I don't care if you think it's good or bad, but we can all acknowledge that the way the human brain works is that if we do anything with repetition over time and consistency, it becomes our new reality. You can't dispute that. You know, we're creatures of habit, and whatever your habits are molding you into who you are. So here's the bright side of that. What if we just said, all right, if I'm going to spend 2 hours and 3 minutes on social media, I'm going to spend another 2 hours and 3 minutes every day on something that is positive and forward moving. Now, I can take some of that and do it in social media. I gave you a couple of ideas, right? But my point is what if we got in our kids' ears? And it's going to take some time, because when I walk into the room and my son is sitting there, my 17-year-old, he goes, what? He doesn't want to be distracted because he's playing like Fortnite or something right now, right? And I said to him all the time, I'm like, you're maybe a little old to be playing that. He's like, Dad, you don't know anything about anything, leave, right? So they've already got him. But what I'm doing with my kids over time is I'm spending time every day saying certain things into their ears. I'm spending some time teaching them some lessons, questioning things, teaching them to question things. And every day, and I know you do this too, we have our morning routine. And I call mine the Rise Up Great Day Morning, where I read something positive. I just finished No Mud, No Lotus. And I write, and I spend time every day, at least an hour every day, and I'm rewiring my brain. So of course, when adversity strikes, my response system is different than the average bear, because I have rewired and reprogrammed my brain. Now, if I stop today and I just start looking at the feed and I turn the news on, I'm screwed. I'm screwed because 3 months from now, that's my new reality.
What you said, though, 2 hours,
2 hours
and 3 and you would say, well, imagine if we said, let's take 2 hours and 3 minutes every day for the next 30 days to do one of the 3 things: make yourself happier, wealthier, healthier, right?
Grateful.
Whatever it would take, whether it would take a diet or exercise or reading or meditation. Do you know what the response, though, would be from most people? I don't have the time.
We'd have no problems in the world.
But I don't have the time. But it is amazing when I see my talk time on this thing, time. Apple sends you those stats, I think, once a week. Your usage was down this week. You only spent, 10 hours on your phone. And it is wild, to think how many times a day. I've had it where it's not even in my pocket and I think it's vibrating. I'll reach in my back pocket and think that my phone was vibrating.
They call that the phantom phone or something like that. There's an actual name for that.
Yeah. But it is an amazing tool. It is incredible. And I don't think that we, as a country, would have been able to get through some of the darkest days of the pandemic without all this technology. Not even close.
Well, but what I would say to everybody is, do you have the ability to put the phone down for a day? Just even a day. Think about because I went on a retreat. I went on a personal growth retreat called the Cabin Experience with my mentor, Larry Markson. One of the most pivotal things I ever did. It was in Montana, Big Sky. And we had to go out to this little island in the middle of the water. The first thing they did is that you had to put your phones in a bag for 3 days. Wow. And we immediately said, what if my kids call and all that? He goes, don't worry. If there's an emergency, we'll take care of it. So that's important. But with, I practice Buddhism. And the Buddhist way of looking at this, which I love, is anytime you see the dark side of something, it gives you the ability to see the bright side. So if we can look at this thing that's happening that most people are unconscious to, and we wake up and say, okay, that's potentially bad for me. However, I can see that if I redirect and spend time every day doing something positive, not only will I be in a better mood, not only will I fulfill my goals, I'll start moving forward. But the truth is I don't even know how good it can get. I know how bad it can get because I see it all the time. If you want to know how bad it can get, just go watch TV every day for 2 hours and 3 minutes and watch the news. By the end of the month, you'll be storming something. You'll be going after someone, throwing a Molotov cocktail at somebody and stealing something, right? And that's just the way it is. But use that same philosophy and do things that are proactive. Now, disclaimer, easier said than done, because you got to realize that when you're unconsciously programmed by something, very often you don't want to admit that. You don't want to admit that because when your personality becomes your personal reality, you're going to defend, this is who I am. If somebody doesn't like that, screw them, right? And I get that. I spent a lot of my suffering years like that.
You had suffering years? I guess we could talk about that on Clubhouse.
Anytime you ever meet someone that's dedicated themselves to helping others, believe me, they suffered.
I think who doesn't suffer? Everybody.
So we're gonna open the Clubhouse room. It's open, and for anybody that wants to come over. So come on over to Clubhouse. You look for the Bright Side After Party. You can find Howie Craw. You can find myself. And once you follow us on Clubhouse, that's when you'll find our rooms. If somebody wants to come in there and interact and ask a question, we'd love to have you. Anything else, Howie, to close?
One last time, how do they find you? At what?
At Makes Sense. That's my handle. There it is.
There you go.
Dragon.
One S though, not two, right? One S?
Two S's. Makes Sense.
Oh, makes sense. You said make.
No, that's what people say. They go, makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so that'll be great. Let's go in there right now, and let's have a chat.
I enjoyed this one, man. I enjoy when I become aware of things that I didn't know about.
Yeah, and you know, even though I have heard that before about the time and all of that people are spending, it's wild that, you know, to think that you reach for something over 2,000 times a day, right?
And just imagine, throw the pandemic in, where we are actually now social distancing and removing touch. And we now have an excuse to not actually interact with people. That's what I love about Clubhouse, is we can actually talk to people. Now, social media has us twice as much. So these were, by the way, these statistics I read are pre-pandemic. So I would assume they've doubled now. So who knows what's going to happen now. So just be aware, wake up, become conscious of what's going on, check the facts, question everything, including everything that we just said, and love and appreciate you.
And come join us in the Bright Side After Party. Have a great week.
Peace, brother.
Peace.